Bánh Mì Hio roast pork. The Bánh Mì Hio is built around one thin roasted pork belly with skin so crisp it shatters on contact. The pork is slow roasted after being coated in 5-spice, soy sauce, and honey until the exterior becomes a deep lacquered shell, contrasting dramatically with the tender, fatty meat beneath. Vietnamese bakers adapted the French baguette over generations, incorporating rice flour to create a lighter, airier loaf that absorbs pork juices without collapsing. Inside, the sandwich follows Vietnamese cooking's core principle of counterbalance: pâté for richness, pickled daikon and carrot for acidity, cucumber for crunch, cilantro for brightness, and fresh chilies for heat. Every element serves the pork without competing with it. What makes this version stand apart from other Bánh Mì styles is its singular focus: one central ingredient prepared with real skill, surrounded by elements that exist purely in its service. The best versions come from small Vietnamese street stalls that specialize exclusively in Hio, frequently selling out before mid-morning. It regularly appears on lists of the world's greatest sandwiches, and the combination of crackling pork skin, pillowy bread, sharp pickles, and fresh herbs makes it easy to understand why. It is a sandwich that rewards the quality of its primary ingredient above all else. Tombik Döner. The Tombik Döner, known in Turkey as göbek kebab, is a fuller and more substantial version of the classic doner sandwich. Rather than a thin flatbread wrap, it uses a round, enriched bread roll made with butter and yogurt, soft and pillowy inside with a lightly crisped sesame-topped exterior. The bread is built to absorb meat juices without falling apart, and its thickness means it functions as a genuine part of the meal rather than simply a wrapper. The meat follows the vertical roasting tradition from 19th century Ottoman Bursa, with lamb, beef, or chicken seasoned in cumin, paprika, oregano, and garlic, stacked on a rotating spit, and shaved to order with a mix of crisp outer edges and tender interior slices. The tombik is defined by its balance. Bread and meat carry roughly equal presence, with neither overwhelming the other. Fresh tomatoes, sliced onions, pickles, and sometimes sumac-dressed onions provide clean, bright accompaniments that cut through the richness of the meat without masking it. Some vendors include fries inside the roll, making it even more filling. It sits naturally between fast street food and a considered meal, carrying the satisfying density of a well-built burger while remaining deeply rooted in Turkish culinary tradition. Octopus panino. The octopus panino is a humble street food from southern Italy, deeply rooted in the coastal communities of Palermo and Bari, where fishing culture has shaped everything people eat. At local festivals, vendors grill seafood over open coals and the surrounding air carries wood smoke and salt water in equal measure. The octopus is treated with accumulated knowledge, traditionally beaten against rocks to break down tough muscle fibers before being grilled over hot coals until the exterior chars lightly and the interior stays soft and yielding. The sandwich itself is almost aggressively simple: a crusty roll filled with warm octopus, finished with olive oil, lemon juice, parsley, and black pepper. Nothing more. The octopus carries a faint natural sweetness, the oil adds body, and the lemon ties everything together with bright acidity. This is food with genuine historical roots. In 19th century Palermo, octopus was cheap and plentiful, and the pulpari set up carts near the port to feed dock workers and sailors quickly and cheaply. Those same carts still operate in Palermo's street markets today, largely unchanged. The price of octopus has risen considerably as it has become fashionable across European fine dining, but the panino itself remains what it always was: direct, honest, and deeply satisfying. Shawarma. Shawarma is the most widely traveled sandwich on this list, existing in regional variations across the Middle East, Eastern Mediterranean, and practically every major city in the world. The structure is always the same: heavily marinated meat stacked on a vertical rotisserie, cooked slowly for hours, and carved to order, but the spicing, bread, and accompaniments shift dramatically by region. The technique originated in the Ottoman Empire during the 19th century and spread through regions under its influence before being reshaped by local spice traditions. Lebanese versions incorporate allspice, cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves, producing a warmly aromatic profile served with toum, an intensely pungent whipped garlic spread. Israeli shawarma arrives stuffed into pita with tahini, chopped salad, and amber, a pickled mango condiment with a funky, assertive tang. Egyptian preparations often use a denser bread entirely. The vertical rotisserie creates a specific result that no other cooking method replicates: caramelized, lightly crisped outer slices and moist, tender meat just beneath the surface. The Ottoman technique even inspired tacos al pastor in Mexico, demonstrating how far a single cooking idea can travel when carried by migration and trade. Every regional version is distinct, but all of them share that defining quality of layered, slowly rendered meat carved fresh from the spit. Maine-style lobster roll. The Maine-style lobster roll is widely regarded as the purest expression of North Atlantic lobster flavor available in sandwich form. The preparation is deliberately minimal: cold lobster meat cut into generous chunks, bound lightly with just enough mayonnaise to add creaminess without masking the seafood, sometimes with a small amount of diced celery or chives for texture. The entire philosophy rests on restraint. The lobster is the point, and everything else exists only to support it. The bread is a top-split hot dog bun, buttered on its flat exterior sides and toasted on a griddle until golden and lightly crisp, warm and buttery on the outside, soft on the inside, holding cold lobster filling at its center. That contrast between warm toasted bread and cool, creamy seafood is one of the more quietly effective combinations in all of sandwich cookery. The sandwich reportedly first appeared in the 1920s in Connecticut, but Maine gradually claimed ownership and became the region most associated with it. During peak summer season, Maine's extensive lobster fishing industry drives prices down enough that lobster rolls become accessible everyday food rather than a restaurant indulgence. Eating one on the Maine coast in July has become a genuine regional ritual, tied to a specific season, a specific coastline, and a specific way of understanding that the best ingredients require the least intervention. Arepa Reina Pepiada. The Reina Pepiada is one of Venezuela's most beloved street foods, built on the arepa, a thick, round corn flour bread cooked until the exterior develops a light golden crust while the interior stays warm and soft. It is sliced open and filled with a creamy mixture of shredded chicken, ripe avocado, and mayonnaise that is worked together until cohesive and nearly spreadable, filling every gap in the bread uniformly. Rather than sitting as separate layers, the avocado integrates fully into the chicken, creating a consistent texture and flavor in every bite. The cornmeal bread carries a natural subtle sweetness that complements the richness of the filling without requiring anything additional. The name tells its own story. Reina means queen, and pepiada is Venezuelan slang for a woman who is curvy and beautiful. The filling was reportedly created in 1950s Caracas by a small restaurant called El Arepazo, named in honor of Susana Dujim, a Venezuelan woman who won the Miss World title in 1955. Both the name and the filling have survived for decades almost entirely unchanged, which speaks to how well the combination works. The arepa itself has a history that stretches back thousands of years before colonial contact, making it one of the most historically continuous breads in the Americas, ancient in form, endlessly adaptable in filling. Pan con chicharrón. Pan con chicharrón is one of Peru's most popular breakfast sandwiches, filling, deeply savory, and built on a two-stage pork preparation that produces results far greater than its simplicity suggests. The pork belly is first simmered in water with garlic and herbs until completely tender throughout. The water is then cooked off entirely, at which point the pork begins frying in its own rendered fat, developing a caramelized, properly crisped exterior while remaining extraordinarily soft inside. This combination of textures, yielding interior and crackling crust, is the mechanical heart of the sandwich. The bread is a pan francés, the French-influenced round white roll found throughout Latin America, sturdy enough to hold its shape under the filling. Fried sweet potato slices go in alongside the chicharrón, contributing gentle sweetness and soft texture that absorb the cooking juices and balance the richness of the pork. A fresh salsa of raw onion, lime juice, and chili finishes everything, sharp, bright, and slightly spicy in a way that cuts cleanly through the fat and keeps each bite feeling fresh rather than heavy. The sandwich originated in Lima's working-class neighborhoods as practical, affordable sustenance, but has since evolved into a genuine food ritual. Today, many Peruvians specifically seek it out on weekend mornings at small shops that prepare nothing else, transforming a humble working breakfast into a celebrated culinary tradition. Texas Brisket Sandwich. The The Texas Brisket sandwich is the product of a cooking tradition that developed in Central Texas during the early 20th century in towns like Lockhart, Luling, and Taylor. German and Czech immigrants who arrived during the 1800s brought butchery culture with them, and began smoking beef brisket over post oak wood as a practical method for cooking a tough, inexpensive cut before refrigeration made storage manageable. That functional solution evolved over a century into one of America's most devoted regional food obsessions. The sandwich is deliberately unadorned, thick slices from the flat and point of the brisket placed on white bread, which is not incidental but essential. The bread absorbs the rendered fat and meat juices, acting as a soft counterweight to the intensity of the smoke and fulfilling the same role it played in original meat market settings, where bread was offered alongside smoked cuts to complete the meal. Properly cooked brisket should pull apart with almost no resistance, held together by intramuscular fat that keeps every slice moist and deeply savory. Traditional accompaniments are pickles, raw white onion, and sometimes yellow mustard, nothing more. At celebrated spots like Croyt's Market or Snow's Barbecue, the brisket is seasoned only with salt and coarse black pepper, then smoked for 12 to 16 hours. Adding heavy sauce or elaborate condiments would bury everything that patience and smoke have built. Bon Mì Ngoại, cold cut. While Hio-ki centers everything on one showpiece ingredient, the Bon Mì Ngoại operates on an entirely different logic, building complexity through the layering of multiple cured and processed pork products rather than spotlighting any single component. Ngoại simply means cold meat, but within Bon Mì culture it refers to a specific assemblage Vietnamese ham, pork roll, and sometimes head cheese, all produced using French charcuterie methods that were introduced during the colonial period and then reshaped through Vietnamese ingredient traditions over generations. The pork roll, known as sirche lua, is a smooth, steamed sausage with a clean, mild flavor and a lightly springy texture. The ham is thin and nearly translucent, contributing texture more than assertive flavor. Together they form a savory, restrained base that allows the other sandwich elements to remain fully present. Built on the same French-Vietnamese baguette used across all Bon Mì styles, spread with pâté and butter or mayonnaise, then completed with pickled daikon and carrot, cucumber, cilantro, and chilies, the ngoại is the version most people encounter first outside of Vietnam. When Vietnamese diaspora communities established Bon Mì shops across the United States, France, and Australia during the 1970s and 1980s, this combination became the standard introduction to the format, and for millions of people it remains the definitive version of one of the world's great sandwiches. Porchetta sandwich. The porchetta sandwich is Italian street food in its most elemental form, slow-roasted pork of extraordinary richness placed into bread that exists specifically to support and absorb it. The preparation is most closely associated with Arepas, a small town near Rome where porchetta has been made commercially since at least the 16th century and where it has since earned a protected geographical designation under Italian law. The roast itself is a whole deboned pig, heavily seasoned with salt, black pepper, garlic, rosemary, and fennel, then tightly rolled and slow-roasted for hours. As it cooks, the internal fat melts continuously through the layers of meat, basting everything from within. The exterior skin transforms under the heat into a crackling layer with a snap audible on the first bite, providing a dramatic textural contrast against the juicy, herb-infused meat beneath. When served, warm slices go into a crusty roll or soft flatbread with very little else, occasionally a few extra shards of crispy skin for additional crunch. The porchetta already contains everything it needs. It is sold at markets, roadside stalls, and communal gatherings across central Italy, and eating it is inherently social, a sandwich consumed standing up, among people, at a festival or a street market with wine nearby. The town of Arepas holds an annual festival in its honor, celebrating a preparation that has remained essentially unchanged for centuries.